Hello, everybody. This is the Hollywood Art and Movie Awards, and I'm very excited because this is a very special panel we're gonna have right now. It's very easy when you are a film festival, when you run a film festival, to talk about movies because you can screen the movies and you can talk about it, and everybody's used to it. But when it comes to music, score, and photography, because we do have music and art photography categories at the Hollywood Art and Movie Awards, it's a little bit more challenging to find ways to discuss it and to support the artists who created that. And this is exactly what we're going to try and do now with three artists. We have Annabella, we have Miguel, and we have Brian. Good morning, guys. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Hi, thank
Excellent.
you.
Like I said, I'm very excited because we are trying to find the best way to talk about what you guys do. You do not have movies in the proper sense. Some of you are filmmakers, but you've been selected to the Hollywood Art and Movie Awards for pictures, art photography, or for music. And we're gonna try to find ways to communicate that through the digital situation we all live through right now. Annabella, let's start with you. Can you tell us who you are, what's your background, and we want to get to know you a little bit better.
Sure. I'm from Venezuela. My name is Annabella Salcedo. I used to work in Venezuela. I used to do weddings, videos, and photography. That's how I come to the United States as like a talent visa, and here I start doing everything I know: photography and weddings and videos and everything. So one day I was with one friend and I decided to play with dust, but the dust had colors. So I start by throwing the dust to her, and just with a LED light, and the photography was amazing. It was beautiful. So
Don't say too much. Don't say too much. We're going to go back to that right after. And I want you to talk about this exactly, but I want to show the pictures at the same time so people can have a feeling about it.
Of course.
Miguel, you also are selected for art photography. You are a filmmaker, but you've been selected to the Hollywood Art and Movie Awards for your series of picture Schatten. Did I pronounce that well?
Yes, well, Schatten. Yeah, it's a German word. It's also you can say it in Spanish. That is sombras, or in English shadows. But shadows. I don't know. Schatten for me reflected better the spirit of the creation. No, these shadows, these people with no identity walking around and not showing what
you guys, you really want to go right into it and talk about what you did. We're gonna go there. Just who are you, Miguel? We want to.
Well, I am a Madrillian-based and Madrillian-born photographer for a lifetime. I travel a lot. I've been living in Berlin, in Paris, in Florence, in Santo Domingo, and in New York. I love the image image creating since I was 13. I've always been, this has been my devotion and my passion. And sometimes I suffered it, and sometimes more often I enjoyed it. So now I'm very happy because this COVID has, to me, has had like a good side, which is that I'm getting like a lot of recognition and nominations and awards. So it hasn't been that bad a year.
Yeah, I like it. Brian, your turn.
Yes, certainly. So my name is Brian Katona. I am a composer. I started off my career per se as a piano player. I played the organ as well, and then studied conducting basically most of my life. The film scoring aspect kind of grew out of that. I've always loved movies, always loved film, and then to fall into the opportunity to put the two loves together, music and film, has been a really great passion, and it's been fun to work on so many different projects, including the one we're about to talk to today.
Okay, let's start with another question, and then we go into the creation of it. What made you pick the Hollywood Art and Movie Awards to want to showcase your work? What made you choose our festival? I'm interested in knowing, how did you arrive here? Annabella. You want to go?
Yes, like Miguel said, during the pandemic, I noticed that I have a lot of material that I wanted to share. I actually did like a short film about Roraima. It's a special place in Venezuela, and I also had won a lot of awards because of it. But I got to edit during the pandemic, so I was researching every single festival and everything that I could participate, and I read about you guys, and I read the reviews and like what people said about you, and I was like, I wanted to like to take a chance, and I did, and here I am.
And you did good. I'm very happy you did. Thank you.
Yes,
Congratulations. I like it. I like it.
thank you.
Ryan, there are a lot of festivals that offer music categories and score categories. Why did you choose the Hollywood Art and Movie Awards? Was it because it's in Los Angeles, or did you have any other reason for that?
There are many festivals that do showcase the music, but I think this one in particular seemed to focus on the craft, and I saw a wide variety of talent. And previous musical examples were really great and really fresh and new, and I always champion that and think that's a really neat thing. And I've admired your interviews and your podcasts with other filmmakers, so I thought it would be a nice opportunity to submit my information, and very glad that I did.
Okay, thank you for that. And I see you still have the Christmas tree in the back
We
in the
do.
other
We're still
room.
celebrating. It's that time of year for a couple
We
of
took down our last weekend. It's always a sad moment to take
I
down
know,
the
right?
Christmas
Yeah.
tree. Yeah, so I feel you. Miguel, what about you? You're a filmmaker, so maybe you knew the festival before. I don't know.
No,
What
I
made
really
you?
didn't. I
You
usually,
didn't?
when I'm looking for festivals, I tend to trust my intuition and my hunches. So I always look for new festivals to show my work. And then I read your festival, and I don't know, something gave me the impression that you would be empathic and you would appreciate my sensibility, and so it was. So like Annabella said, I took my chance, and it was good.
Okay, I like it. So only friends around here. Perfect. We're gonna spend a good time. Annabella,
Yeah.
what about your series of work? Can you share a little bit, explain how you achieved this colorful and really beautiful photographies?
Thank you. Yes, like I said before, we were at my house. We were just playing with the dust, and I I throw the dust to her, and I saw the picture immediately. I was like, "Let's do this." So I set up my house like a studio. I went for my LED light, and then I saw the pictures, and I knew that I could do like a collage kind of thing and play with black and white and just colors. And I had it in my head. As soon as I throw the dust, I saw it. And seriously, I love black and white photography. I'm not as like comfortable with colors, but I took a chance with colors, and I think it worked because it's not. I mix my black and white with a spring of color, and it was fun. It was just fun.
Okay, so what about give us a little bit more details about did you, for example, is it what you took, or do you have a lot of post production on
I
these
have
pictures?
yes, I have a lot of post production. I edited and Photoshop the butterfly. I tried to do it in the picture. It's really hard to get the right position because she would have to hold it with her hands, and we tried to stick it with a with I don't know scotch tape, and it worked. And then so I took a picture of the butterfly on the side, and I did the montage on in Photoshop. Everything like the dust, it's an actual. What the picture is the dust and her with the painting on her face, but then I grabbed the eyes and put a bigger black and white, and then that was the butterfly I took the picture of here in my house, and I put it on top of her. So I play with that a little bit.
Okay, I like it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Miguel, can you, when you described on Film Freeway, when you submitted the work, you used a phrase saying, people are shadows, carcasses of consumers. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
I have a yes. I have a lot of post production. I edited and edited and photoshop the butterfly. I tried to do it in the picture with really hard to get the right position because she would have to hold it with her hands, and we tried to stick it with a with a spring of color.
So it sounds the presentation you made of your own series of pictures is kind of politically charged. Can we
Yeah.
say that?
Yes, it is. It is. It's voluntarily like that, and I think we're living in incredible times when we're seeing things that we never thought we would see. I don't want to make like a political speech here, but I really feel that more and more we are becoming just objects of and subjects of consumption. We're supposed to consume, spend our money, work to make more money to spend it, and we are not taking in consideration our needs, what we strive for. So that's why I chose to represent, like people like with these shadows, without a face, without an identity, just walking around, wandering in life without a purpose. It's not that we don't have a purpose, but somehow, like big companies and big political, institutions have sort of like taken our chance to decide for ourselves.
Can you describe a little bit the process of taking the pictures? Were you just walking in the street and snapping at strangers, or was it? What was your process in
Well,
creating
that,
this,
that was the
capturing these
end, but
shadows?
that was the end of a process. But it took me a long time till I find out how finally I wanted to work and the result I wanted. No, so I started with this idea like 2 years and a half after the process was completed. And during this time, I was going out on the street, taking lots of pictures in different moods and different fashions and different lights and different ways, trying to find out what would be the best expression way for the idea I wanted. And finally, after I don't know, maybe 6 months or a year, I found out this process in which I took the photos very spontaneously with a handheld camera, very low in a very low angle most of the times, and just without any technical complication. But I didn't start like that. It took me a long time, like Picasso or Bob Dylan said, it took me a long time to become a young person. And then, so once I found it, I like it, and I intend to be like that, to keep like that.
Okay, thank you for that. Let's talk music.
Sure.
Brian,
Yes.
can you describe, you've explained a little bit your background and where you come from and how you got into music for movies. What was the origin of this music for this movie?
Certainly. So this documentary, it's a documentary short called The Long Hair, which is about a barber in North Dakota. He's, I think, 85, 86 years old. And the director, David Kuznicki, we've been working together for years. And this is another wonderful short that he's put together. And it's about this man's life and his journey. And typically as a film composer, you get the film at the very end of the process. So once everything is shot and you enter post-production, you see the entire film or most of it, and then you start dreaming up ideas and coming up with themes that will hopefully fit the character, fit the mood the director is trying to convey. So that's always the first step. And as you can see there's Leroy at his barber shop. He's one of the last remaining barbers in that area. And it's such a quintessential bit of Americana there that I wanted the score to reflect times gone by, past memories, but also kind of a longing for returning to those simple basic values of life. So I would go to the piano and create some themes and ideas and bounce them off the director and see if he liked where I was going. And he did, thankfully. And then I would score the entire process and put it all together. So it's a fun, quick process to some extent, but very enjoyable.
So you really had a positive, constructive collaboration with the director of the documentary, so the music could find its space into the storytelling. I guess that's not always the case, that the music gets such a prominent place.
It isn't, and that's why when you find a director that you really work well with and enjoy working with, you keep those relationships going because they understand you and you understand them, and your goal is to create the best film possible. And for me as a composer, I don't see the music as being always in the forefront, or usually not in the forefront, but it's the subtext, it's the emotional drive behind the picture. So the best way I can enhance the characters and the feel of the movie is always my goal.
It is. Let's take a listen at it right now, a little bit. So imagine the barbershop,
Cutting the hair,
a little bit, the year. And you said in your presentation, you talk about nostalgia. You wanted to have that sense of feeling, emotions, basically, getting into the movie.
So there's this joyous moment kind of here that we're listening to, whereas if you were sitting back in the barber chair in 1950, what would it feel like? What would it sound like? And then taking those same themes and later spinning them into more of a sense of longing. And, I wish this could happen again, and maybe it could.
You see, there are two themes in the. I'm just gonna cut the music because you don't hear it, but I still have it in my ears.
Sure.
There are two themes in the score you made. Can you get into the details of that?
That's correct. The first one is the body, kind of this longing on a cello, kind of a somber feel, but also with some pleasantry to it. And then the one that we just heard, which is more of the pizzicato plucking strings with a haircut, the bum bum bum, and they often play off each other, and sometimes they're in discord with each other as well. And my goal was at the end of the film to bring both themes and both ideas together musically and best serve the film in the best way that I could.
Okay, thank you, Annabella. This kind of pictures we've shown before, and I'm gonna show them again. Is it your style? Is it what you often do, or is it for you a special series that's kind of out of the box for what you do usually?
This one, it's out of the box completely. I just took an opportunity and I played with it, and it worked. Normally, I do black and white photography. I have a series that I did an exhibition. It's called The Wheel of the Body, and it's a flamenco dancer, a yoga instructor, and a trapeze person, like a circus person. So they're all three women. And because I'm a woman, I can sense the beauty of our bodies. So I try to take pictures of that. So here, she's a woman as well, but I try to capture her. That's her personality. She's super out there, which I'm not. And then I play with her. I mean, with the dust, and just trying to put myself in a way that people could see that I'm not only black and white pictures. So that's what I got.
Okay. Did you have a specific for the colors? It's very pop. A lot of warm colors, red, pink, orange. Did you wanted to bring some joy with the series? This is what you wanted?
Yes, I wanted to put so much color. I wanted to be completely opposite to what I do. So I found neon colors. That's the paint that she has on her body. And then I bought some Indian. They use this dust on Indian weddings. So I did an Indian wedding, and that's what I use. They use a lot of color. Indian weddings are super colorful, and I wanted to do something like that in a way, using their colors and putting into my black and white photography.
Okay, interesting. I love it. Yeah. Okay. Miguel, your work is quite different. It's more playing with the shadows. And you explained the political direction you wanted to talk about with this series of pictures. How do you show a shadow? Because a shadow, there's no light. So that's kind of the opposite of what photography is. So how did you manage to create the contrasts and to capture dark material, basically?
Well, Leonardo da Vinci said that shadow is what brings color and light to life and to paintings and to everything. So I worked on that idea. And it was hard. I had to learn to work on this low-key process, trying to capture, the little light that could bring out the idea of the shadow that I wanted. Always work against the light in contrast. But I also wanted to create this contrast between beauty and the idea that it's quite strong and challenging. But I wanted to create beauty in what for me was not beauty. No, that's the alienation of the citizen in these days. So the real challenge for me was capturing shadows and also creating beauty through an idea that wasn't beautiful in itself.
Okay. Do you want to go a little bit deeper into the technical stuff? What camera did you use and what lenses did you use to achieve this?
Okay, well, I have a Leica M8 with a 25 millimeter Zeiss 2.8, and some of the photos are taken also with the Canon 5D EOS 5D Mark II and 24-70 2.8 lens. Basically, they're taken with those two cameras. Some of them are taken with an old Nikon D200 that I love, and though it's very old, I still keep it. And some of the photos are taken with it. But
how do you choose which camera you use depending on the?
I don't know. Every lens and every camera and every sensor now, because we're not using film anymore, or at least I am not, gives a specific tones. I think that Brian, as a musician, would understand that very well. Know that tone and subtleties that every camera gives. That like possibly instruments give also that different nuances. No,
exactly.
And that made me decide in every situation whether I wanted more contrast or less contrast, or more subtlety or more warm tones. Yeah.
Okay, I like the gut feeling of it, using the cameras as a tool to try to achieve.
Yeah, like a brush, or
Yeah, I like it.
Or a different
Annabella.
piano.
Yeah.
Annabella, same question for you. What camera do you use and what lenses of choice for this series or for your work in general, if you want to?
I'm a Canon user. I love Canon. Right now, I'm switching to the new Canon R6 because of the quality for the video and photography. You can have both on the camera. But those pictures I did with the Canon 6D Mark II. I have a 24-70 millimeter lens, and I had a LED light. It's called Ice Cube. It's an awesome LED light, and that's what I use for those pictures. And mainly, that's what I use for, unless I use my 35 millimeter lens for like something really portrait kind of thing.
Okay, interesting. Brian, same question, but apply to music. You said you compose with a piano, correct?
I do. So I'm a little old school, where typically I'll sit down at my piano first, pen and paper, and write down a couple themes once I've seen the film a couple of times. When the director agrees on the mood and the feel of the score, then I will go to my computer, and I work primarily in Pro Tools. So if I'm able to use real instruments and real players, I love to do that and try to whenever I can. In this case, these are all virtual instruments that I use through Pro Tools, so various plugins and whatnot, and I begin to take the score that I've handwritten and then craft it in the Pro Tools session. And once that is done, in this case, I actually mix the entire film as well. So I would then bring in the dialogue and the sound effects and make all one big sound palette for the entire picture.
What plugins do you use? What libraries of choice as a music composer for movies have your preference?
So Spitfire is a great company that has beautiful strings. I've used some of those. There are, there's a slew of things. East West Studios has some great patches. So you grab a little bit of this from here and this from there and try to create the best palette that you can. The piano I think I used in this is called The Giant, and I'm forgetting what library it's from, but it's this beautifully sampled upright piano that has these warm, rich tones that I think accompany the character of the film quite nicely.
It's maybe going to be a naive question, but you have a real piano in the other room in the back, and you still use a VST. So why do you choose that? Because it's easier to record.
It is, yeah. I mean, I will get my inspiration from playing the actual piano, as that's sort of my initial love and where I began from. But yes, recording the piano, tuning the piano, making sure everything's in conjunction with other instruments that I'm using in the Pro Tools session. I typically find it's easier to just manipulate the MIDI versus actual audio, depending on the session. If I have a full live session of players, then definitely I'll use a real piano and real instruments.
Last technical question. You use Pro Tools. Have you been using Cubase or any other VST or digital studio? And why did you finally choose Pro Tools for that?
Yeah, a lot of folks have asked me that. So I started off film scoring many years ago when I went to the Aspen Music Festival. It was a film scoring workshop, and I forget how young I was back then, early 20s maybe. And the first thing that we learned on was Pro Tools, and that was my first encounter with any sort of digital platform. So it was difficult and hard to learn, and I figured since I've learned it, I'm going to stick with it. So I really love it, and I've really only used Pro Tools, actually. I've tried Cubase a little bit, but stick with what I know, I suppose.
Do you want guys to ask each other some question? Because we are in between artists and creators right here. So we have two photographers and we have Brian for the music. Do you want guys take my place and ask each other some question? Who wants to go with it?
I can ask.
Go ahead.
Miguel, are you working in a project right now? Like, are you doing like a shadow kind of thing project with another idea, or what are you doing right now?
Well, I'm working in the next project, but it's not specifically about shadows, but shadows have stuck onto me and I can get rid of them. So everything I'm doing now is contaminated by this idea of the shadows. So that's the most thing I'm doing now. It's taking shadows everywhere. And sometimes I have to nod my head and say, no, stop doing shadows. You already did that job. Let's start something new. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's a very highly contaminating idea, this thing of the shadows. At least it has been for me. But I want to say I love the work, your work, Annabella. It's beautiful, and we've only listened to a bit of your Brian music, but I think it's beautiful too. So my compliment.
Likewise.
Do you have any?
Sorry,
Brian, go for it.
Yeah, certainly. So have you found in the digital age, especially the past year, is it easier or more difficult to get your photography out there in terms of viewership and being able to have more people see your work?
Interesting.
Do I go fast? Okay.
Yeah.
So right now it's with so many social medias and ways to go into festivals, because there is a lot of web pages that concentrate the festivals, and it's easier for you to be able to understand how they work and which ones are they're more of your view, like more of what you really feel on the creative way. So right now it's easier. I think it's easier for every photographer to get their work out there, for every videographer to get their work out there. I don't know if Miguel agrees with me.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I love the digital. I still once in a while get with questions from people who know me as a photographer from from a pre-digital age, and ask me, but do you use analogic or digital? And I get in flames. Like the Tasmania devil. I get wild because there's something beautiful, and I've spent nights and nights and nights developing black and white on my own, for hours. And I love that. I used to love that. But now the immediacy of what you take, and then you see it, and then you work it, and you correct it. And then, as you said, Annabella, you can display it in so many festivals and so many places, and view whether that festival is going to, to like the kind of work you do. There's no question about it. Digital is.
What about you, Brian? How would you answer your own question?
How would I answer my own question? I would say, kind of jumping back on what you said earlier, I think there is that immediacy that's rewarding as well in terms of music, where if I'm working with a cello sample, I don't have to record it 10 times necessarily to get the exact take that I want, that I can immediately fuss with this note and that note and get it where I want, how I want it, in a quicker fashion. And then I can hear it back in a faster method as well. So there is that joy, but I still long for the full studio of an orchestra coming together and that camaraderie that you do miss. And hopefully we'll get back to that soon.
A little bit. I didn't mention it, and you didn't either, which is a little bit surprising. You've been winning a couple Emmy Awards for your music, and you've been working with multiple projects. Who won that won Emmy Awards. Do you want to talk about it a little?
Yes, certainly. So the team I've been working with, Media 523, and David Kuznicki is the director. He's won several Emmy Awards for the films that we've worked on together. In terms of the film itself, I was very fortunate to earn an Emmy for the best score on a project we did called The Builder, which is about another elderly gentleman that was in a retirement home and about his story and his life. So that was a true honor, and very grateful for that. And I will just keep doing good work and going from there.
Excellent. Is there anything, guys, you would like to ask or anything you would like to add to this discussion?
Well, it's been really very, very interesting. Thank you, the festival, and thank you, Matt, for inviting us, to the committee for selecting us to the festival. And I'm so glad I met you two. Well, you, of course, Matt, but you, Annabella, and you, Brian. I'm so glad, and I hope we can keep in touch.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you so much for your time and for being part of this music and art photography panel. I really loved it because this is one of these rare occasions you can discuss with photographers and musicians, and without being in person. It's challenging sometimes. And I think we did get a pretty good sense of what you want guys to achieve with your creation, and I'm really happy if we get to communicate that to the viewers of the festival. Thank you so much, and I wish you the best of luck for the competition of the festival and for the rest of your project. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt.
Nice to meet everyone.
Bye-bye.